We're here at AmFest 2023, and I'm very excited to have our guests that we have today, Laura Becker, right, and Oli London, both here as detransitioners. That's kind of what you guys are talking about. That's the message you're sharing, your personal experience. Oli, you got a book out.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, show it to the camera. We got a book going on. You guys, I thought you didn't exist. Doesn't the media say that detransitioners don't exist? I thought you weren't real. So are you just illusions right now?
I mean, to some extent, yes, but tangibly, there's pros and cons to being alive and being real.
Okay.
And, we're very inconvenient truth that the gender cult does not want to hear.
Okay, all right. And so, would you both share a little bit about, share what it was like for you when you were younger and maybe you were feeling out of sorts, out of place? What led you to transition? What made you feel like that was the best option for you?
Yeah, so, when I was younger, I was age 11, diagnosed on the autism spectrum. Major depression, anxiety, there was parental abuse. So I just had a lot going on in a short amount of time.
Okay.
And so by the time I was 15 or so, I started to learn about gender ideology, learn about the concept of transgender, non-binary, and being a very creative and intellectually open person, I was thinking like, oh wow, that sounds amazing. It sounds transcendent and liberating. And unfortunately, I was very suicidal and just didn't really have a lot of support, peer support or adult support.
Yeah.
And so by the time I was 18, I came out as trans in college. 19, I was prescribed testosterone injected weekly. At 20 years old, I had a radical double mastectomy. So these are actually some big unnaturals that I'm wearing right now.
Okay.
These are just pads.
Okay.
So it was a really traumatic time.
Damn.
Yeah, and I detransitioned at 22.
So this has been kind of my question all along. It's like if you're struggling, right, and if you're feeling lost and things like that, why does the medical community then decide that chopping off body parts is a good idea? Where does this belief come in that this radical, almost abuse of yourself will make you feel better?
It's all about money. I mean, if you follow the money, it's all of the hospitals and doctors are profiting from this.
Okay.
Because let's take the example of the United Kingdom, which is where I'm from. We have free health service.
Yes.
So there are no trans surgery procedures for kids. There are no hormones. Puberty blockers are banned under 16s because there's no profit motive. Whereas in the United States, it's all about money. They get kickbacks. Even the gender therapist that will diagnose a kid with gender dysphoria, they're getting kickbacks. They're working together with these hospitals that prescribe the hormones, that do these double mastectomies. And we see obviously cases of 15-year-olds in California, Washington State, Oregon having these surgeries. And the doctors don't care. But when it comes to detransitioners, Medicaid, Medicare, they won't cover the costs of reconstructive surgery for a woman that's had their breasts cut.
But they'll pay for you to cut them off.
Absolutely, they'll cut it off, no questions asked.
Okay.
They'll do that, but there's no support, is there, for detransitioners that want to try to rebuild their body parts or there's no psychological support. And also, when you see the statistics, Erica, a 1% detransition rate, that is totally false. These hospitals don't do follow-up studies. They don't check on the patients a year or two down the line. They don't check, are they still on hormones? Are they off the hormones? They don't care. They don't want that statistic because it makes them look bad.
Wow, so the only statistics they get are if it's like a self-reporter or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
It's very biased, and the other thing is they're not only, neglectful of detransitioners after they have detransitioned, they're actually actively hostile because I've had friends that you go to, back to their same gender clinic and the doctors refuse to see them anymore. They have gotten literally ghosted by their therapists. They are hostile towards detransitioners because these clinicians have a savior complex, whether they're not actually arisen to the level of narcissists or psychopaths, which a lot of the surgeons have.
Oh, yeah.
They still have a sunk cost in their investment is feeling as a liberal, as a Democrat, as a quote-unquote good person, a compassionate person, and a detransitioner being harmed hurts their worldview about their profession. So they just completely compartmentalize and just basically abandon us.
Well, that would, because you are basically what's the right?
I call it the canary in the coal mine.
Well, yeah, it's almost like you are the evidence that what they believe is not true.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So you're the contrary evidence, and so therefore no, I can't.
And that's why you see they try to shut down detransitioners. You see when someone like Laura speaks out, someone like myself, they'll do everything they can to cancel you. The trans activists will come for you.
Yeah.
If a detransitioner might be speaking at the university, you'll see hordes and hordes of protesters outside, very angry and aggressive. They don't want that narrative to be out there, because guess what? It pulls apart the narrative that everybody's happy, everyone that transitions is living in a dreamland. It's not their case. There are thousands and thousands out there. There's a Reddit forum online which has over 50,000 detransitioners on it.
Wow,
and
guys.
that is just really one of the only ways of measuring how many people are out there, because we know there are many out there, but many are obviously scared to speak up, because if they speak up, they get cancelled, they get hate, and many of the people in their friendship circles are trans, they're non-binary. So it's like a cult. You get outcast, you get thrown out, and they disassociate with you. They'll cut you off if you dare speak against their narrative.
Well, and one of the things that has been interesting when we've talked, because we got to talk to, Katie Anderson, who's also a detransitioner. And one of the things that we're hearing a lot, you mentioned that you also are autistic. And so someone we spoke to said basically, when you feel like you're part of the out group, okay, and all you want to do is belong, you'll go. Sometimes we as human beings, and I've been there too. Like I'm a recovering drug addict. Like there's certain things in my life I gravitated towards the wrong people or the wrong beliefs to try to change the way that I felt. Right. So if our need for belonging is so strong that we will forego our own beliefs, our own well-being. I mean, that's what it sounds like that is, right? So it's like, I want to try to belong, so I'm going to go do this thing where people are getting, affirmed and they feel like they belong. But then if you try to leave, then, they are too afraid to leave. I'm sorry, that was such a long setup of a question.
No,
but that's important. What I hear over and over again is this sense of belonging and a fear to leave or a fear to stand up and be yourself.
I mean, it can be definitely as simple as belonging, and a lot of it, what it comes down to, from what I've researched and observed in my own experience, is it comes down to acceptance. Can I accept myself? Can I be gay or lesbian? Can I be a tomboy? Can I be effeminate? Can I have these sexual fantasies? Can I, or I'm autistic. How do I fit into the grand scheme of the world? And when you're younger, especially today, there's such an existential crisis going on. Like, I really believe that what it comes down to is an existential spiritual void, not just religious, but just spiritual, having some kind of transcendence. For me, transition, I'm sure Oli would agree, we were trying to seek a transcendence of self. We were trying to become our true selves. We were trying to become the highest version of self. And so we were on the right path. We were trying to get there. But because society has collapsed so much of its values and its organized structures for getting meaning, we were seeking something that was actually shallow and meaningless through the cosmetic procedures, which I consider, mastectomy and gender-affirming hormones and such to be cosmetic procedures, not life-saving.
Right.
And so it's a false sense of transcendence that all young people are struggling with today, not just like autistics, but it's so easy to use the ideology, to use wokeness, to use anti-racism or whatever it is, to try and fill that sense of purpose and a true sense of accomplishment, which I've personally found to come instead from just my beliefs to actually, what do I do? What do I contribute for the world, the community? How am I of service to other people? That's what gives me my identity, not, these labels and this, vernacular. It's very shallow, and it's tragic that it's being marketed to kids in K through 12 schools, churches, college, obviously academia. That is the way to gain true meaning, and it's just abusive to this generation coming up.
And if you could share anything with our viewers, with our listeners, or for folks, young people out there who are questioning their identity, who are confused, what is a piece of advice that you'd like to share with them today?
Well, I would just say, firstly, don't spend too much time on social media because it's very harmful. I personally don't think kids should be on social media because we didn't have this trans trend before TikTok, before Instagram. It is a very modern phenomenon. And why is that? Because kids want to be accepted. They want likes. They want validation. So we see many of these kids that are transitioning, they're sharing that journey on TikTok. And guess what? They get more followers, they get more likes, they get more praise and comments. So it really is, if it boils down to validation and people just want to be different, they want to stand out, they want to be special. If you're a kid that feels like a loner at school, you don't have friends and you're bullied, what better way than transition, change your pronouns, and suddenly the teacher's treating you nicely, even the bullies will be nice to you. It's a way to seek validation. I think that is the harmful thing. So my advice would be, try not to look too much into social media. Don't get absorbed into that TikTok culture.
Don't get your validation from there.
Right. It's meaningless. All of these people giving us comments online, most of them we don't know in real life. They say something bad, don't take it personally.
Yeah.
People pushing this, oh, you need to transition more, you need to do this surgery, let's get you on hormones. They don't know you in real life. They're destroying you.
Yeah.
But, just don't seek that validation online.
That is such good advice. That's one of the things I joke about. I tell people, get a life. Get a life, find new friends, find a hobby, go do something, right? We all need that because every human being in the end needs a sense of identity, belonging, and purpose. And if we don't get that from God, if we don't get that from our parents or whatever, we're going to find it from somewhere. So now share with everyone where they can follow you. If you got a website, social media, books, give them everything.
Awesome. So my name is Laura Becker. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Funk God Artist. I also have a shop, the Funk God Emporium. That's funkgod.shop, where you can buy, funky but also based like anti-woke merch and home decor. And then I'll also plug the documentary. Turning Point USA is releasing a documentary very shortly that I'm featured in called Identity Crisis, all about this gender stuff.
All right, fantastic.
And for me, I'm an author of Gender Madness, so people can check out the book on Amazon.com. It's on Audible as well.
Fantastic.
And for Twitter, I speak a lot about these issues, about detrans issues, about the gender ideology, how that's seeping into society. So it's Oli London TV on Twitter and London Oli on Instagram as well.
All right, fantastic. Now, before we go, would you tell me about your dog tags?
Yes, so I was actually just in Israel a few days ago, and I felt it was very important to shed a light on what these people went through. 1,200 people lost their lives, and I was very saddened that not many people were sticking up for the Jewish people. I'm not Jewish myself, I'm Christian, but I was horrified at the response of influencers. That you have TikTok is pushing this trend where, it's cool to be pro-Hamas, it's cool to support people that rape women and kill babies. So for me, it was important to go there on the ground, and the families of the hostages actually gave this to me, and I'm wearing it every day to draw attention to their plight. There's still 129 hostages.
Wow.
It's not looking good at the moment. They're finding dead bodies of hostages every day, and including Kafar Bibas, who is 11 months old. He was 9 months old taken captivity. He is still in captivity. Hamas said he was dead. They said his mum was dead. They blamed Israel. It's not been confirmed. Nothing's been verified. They're using this kind of propaganda, and the majority of people are falling for it. They're thinking, oh, look, the hostages are smiling when they're being released. Guess what? They're forced to do that.
Yeah.
You see the Hamas forcing them. They've already murdered half of their families. What are they supposed to do? So I'm trying to draw attention to that. I think it's a very important issue.
I love that. You guys are both working so hard to bring truth to the internet because, as we know, so much junk and nonsense is on there. And so we need more voices fighting back, standing up for the innocent. And so I just want to say thank you both for putting yourselves on the line, for being willing to take those slings and arrows for folks so that they know that they have a place to go and that there are really people out there who love them and care about them in all sincerity. So thank you both for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
All right. Bless you too. All right. Bye, guys.